Hey, Mike,
Hi,
you're
Des.
you're recently invited by Susan Rivera, CEO of Tokyo Marine HCC, to visit Tokyo Marine in Japan. Can you talk to us about the program you ran and some of the takeaways that you had from the meetings there?
Yeah, sure. So I was invited to participate in the Middle Management Leadership Development Program, or MGL for short. And they do this once a year, and they invite participants from all across the different group companies to come to Tokyo and go through this week-long program. And it's really to kind of increase collaboration between the different group companies, right? You get to meet your coworkers at different
Mhm.
companies and kind of learn about what they do. And it's also, they also take this time to educate the participants on like the good company vision and really kind of try to talk about kind of the background for that and why we focus on that. So it was a week-long program. I was in, starts in Tokyo, and we had some good food in Tokyo. And then we took the bullet train to Ofinato, which is in the northern part of the island. And it was it's like a small coastal fishing village that was hit really hard by the tsunami in 2011. Now we didn't, I don't remember much about the tsunami when we heard here in the news. We heard a lot about the Fukushima nuclear disaster,
Mhm.
right? So the waves kind of took out the power supply of this reactor, and they had to try to manage it, and it definitely uh, was a major disaster. We were hearing about like radiation in the water and things, but you didn't really hear much about the impact of the tsunami on the community and like how devastating it was. And so we had an opportunity to tour the damage and see kind of the aftermath of it, and which is just a really powerful and kind of intense experience, and really kind of reinforced the kind of good company ethos of our company and why it's so important. So after a couple of days in Ofinato, we came back to Tokyo and we did some more educational content. We worked on a group project and ended up presenting it at the end. And it was just it was a really rewarding and interesting trip. But this trip and the program really reinforced it for me. I know it kind of gave you a much better kind of understanding of why it's so important and why we do it. You know, we like the the tsunami that hit Ofinato and caused tons of damage. I think there was $300 billion of total damage in Japan from the tsunami, and about 35 billion of it was insured. When you go there, you kind of get a much better feel for what happened. And you know, we toured the town. We went to a museum that talked about the tsunami and showed a lot of footage from the day of, and it was just so much crazier than I would have expected. There was a monument, an apartment building that had been destroyed that they just left standing in the area, and there was a line on the side of it. It was like 5 stories high. There was a line almost at the very top, and I asked the guide what that line was, and they said that that was the high water mark of the tsunami on the day of it. And it's just, can you imagine? We're talking, I'm on the second story here. We're talking multiple stories higher than this in water, and basically it just cleared all the pieces off the board in this community, right? And a number of other ones. And it's just that devastation is so hard for us to grasp here. And you know what I took out of that is, and I'd add that this community is not a stranger to this kind of thing happening. We part of the museum, they had like an earth core, like where they drill down into the ground and pull up the earth, right, in like a cylinder, and you can see all the other times there's been a tsunami because it leaves like salt and sediment in the ground, and then more ground gets put on top of it, and it kind of leaves like a layer. And it so you could see that tsunamis have happened a couple times a century for millennia, right? And it's, can you just imagine like having to rebuild your community every few decades, right? And it's just like, and it really kind of illustrates the purpose of insurance. It illustrates how when I was there, Ofinato was a thriving community again. Everything had been rebuilt. They had some like monuments and things to remember, because a big part of a tsunami is it happens so rarely that you ignore the warnings, you ignore preparation, you ignore the drills, right? You just get complacent, and they're trying to fight against that. But you know, one of the core tenets of to be a good company is honoring our commitments, right? And you know, we met with the Yachi Insurance Agency in Ofinato, and they're like the Tokyo Marine captive agency. So they only sell Tokyo Marine products. And they were just telling us what it was like to respond and pay their policyholders and try to help the community get through this. And you know, half the residents of Ofinato perished during the tsunami. So it's just a very powerful experience. And the Yachi Insurance Agency does this presentation every year for Tokyo Marine employees, because they want to kind of contribute to kind of the education of what happened. So it just kind of really illustrates what insurance can do and how it can help rebuild a community, and the importance of what we do. And I just found it really, really powerful. And I'm really glad I was able to participate.
It sounds like there's quite a bit you had to do with respect to work, and a lot of meetings that you had there. Were there some other things that you did that you found that were fun and non-work related outside of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the food in Japan is fantastic, and
I hear.
and was just like I just feel like I scratched the surface, and definitely want to go back just for the food. That was great. My wife, I had it was great to have my wife go. She kind of said, "There's no way you're going to Tokyo without me," and so her mom watched our kids, and she came out and she kind of explored Tokyo when I was doing the program. And then once the program was over, we went to Kyoto, which was the old the old capital of Japan, and it's a much more kind of older feeling city. Tokyo is futuristic and like New York or London on steroids, right? But Kyoto was much slower paced and more traditional, and there's a lot more temples and cultural sites, and we just really loved Kyoto. We thought it was just beautiful, and we did like a bike tour and kind of toured around the town of the city and saw the cultural sites and ate a bunch of food. Yeah, it was just a really great experience, and I'm really happy I had the opportunity to go.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Sure.
A lot of good takeaways for many of us.